Hey, Ginger, this is just an observation. I've never seen anybody walk around with a radio full of people. This is like it's like your home.
How you ready? Fine. Hey, Ginger. It's fun. You're gonna be in the second. Oh, yeah.
Larry's down there. Get down there and talk. I will be. I need there. Hey, how are you?
Ain't nobody sitting here. Good morning, everybody. It's 8:30. I guess we'll get started here shortly. Would you please join me in putting your phones on silent? Seat belts, tray tables up. We landed safe. Yeah. Good guy, just resend the entire. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've got a full agenda today. Let's go ahead and get started. Ms. Ogden, if you'll call the roll for us.
Senator Albritton, Senator Bell, Senator Carnley, Senator Coleman Madison, Senator Elliott, Senator Figures, Senator Gavan,
Here.
Senator Orr, Senator Singleton, Senator Smitherman,
Here.
Senator Stutz, Senator Weaver, Senator Barfoot.
Here.
8, and we have a quorum.
We've got a quorum. All right, first bill up is SB 104, Senator Carnley.
Yes, Chairman, thank you for allowing me to bring this bill here. There is some talking points there in your behind tab 1. But what HB 104 does is it, in essence, just really focuses in on making sure that the correct defendants are brought into the suit. There's no prevention of somebody bringing a lawsuit. It just kind of cleans this up a little bit to where, it's narrowly focused. Try to have a little more judicial efficiency is to make sure that we're not bringing in people that really shouldn't be party to that claim. And so what this does is, really.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir. Senator.
when you get through, you two,
I'm good. You can go ahead.
I move for adoption of the sub.
I'll second that adoption of that sub, and I want to comment at this point in time, for it to be on this committee is very much appreciated. You took a topic that could have been knives drawn, guns drawn, worked through that issue, and got us to the point where we're at. So thank you very much. So I'll second that. Let's get on the sub. Let's go ahead and call that roll on that.
Senator Albritton? Senator Bell? Senator Carnley?
Aye.
Senator Coleman Madison? Senator Elliott? Senator Figures?
Aye.
Senator Gavan? Senator Orr? Senator Singleton? Senator Smitherman?
Aye.
Senator Stutz? Senator Weaver? Senator Barfoot?
Aye. All right, adopt the sub. Back on the sub.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I move favor report.
Got a motion for favorable. I'll second that. Any opposition, use previous roll. Hearing none, bill's given favor report. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Chairman.
Let's let me do this. Let's kind of jump out of order here. Representative Pettis
Mr. Chairman,
is here. Yes, sir.
when you get through, I want to be recognized. When you get to saying what you're saying, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Let's get, go ahead. And we're going to take Representative Pettis next. I know him and Senator Melson have somewhere to be, so I told him I would try to get them up, but you go right ahead.
And would you consider at some point, I know Senator Singer is next, or whenever way you're doing it, but at some point a little earlier, would you take Representative Fred away?
I will.
He's there, and let me say it like this: he's chairman of a committee that's gonna meet at 9, and that's where I'm going.
All right, got to get y'all out. Of course, I see my counterpart sitting over there, Judge Hill, and some professional chairman courtesy. So you.
No, hey, now let me say this. No,
You and Senator Smithers both on my agenda this afternoon. We will get there by 6:30.
See there, that's the judge coming out
hey,
there.
now let me say this differently. And I say it to everybody in general, but the lawyers I say for the lawyers in particular on this committee. I would like to, how you like to kind of withdraw something and resubmit it.
Right.
I want to put Judge Hill next. Then we'll get to that.
Smart man. Representative Pettis, if you'll come up, tell us about your bill, and I've got an amendment to offer on that as well.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Back when we did the bill that said they had to wear ankle bracelets and all, it was omitted if they tear it up, try to do something to it to get rid of it, cut it off. All this does is say that if you try to tear it up, take it off, you can be charged with a Class C felony, which is going to be amended to a Class D felony if the amendment goes through. And it says any individual to knowingly alter, disable, deactivate, tamper with, remove, damage, or destroy any device used to facilitate electronic monitoring under this subsection.
Thank you. And I do have an amendment. Any discussion on that bill before I offer my amendment? The amendment and I appreciate you working with me on this. It drops it from a Class C to a Class D, so we're not as punitive. There is some punishment there, but it takes it from a Class C down to Class D. Yes, sir.
I just move for adoption amendment.
Knowingly.
All right. You got to. All right, on the amendment, senators that I've offered, there's a first by Senator Smitherman and a second by Senator Carnley. Any opposition using previous roll on the amendment? Hearing none, the amendment's given a favorable report. or is adopted. Thank you. Now on the bill,
So move, Mr. Chairman.
we got motion for favorable, Senator Smitherman, second by Senator Gavan. Any opposition, use previous roll on that? Hearing none, motion, bill's given favorable report. Thanks so much, appreciate you. In light of our conversations with Representative / Judge Hill, Senator Singleton, would you mind if we? Actually, and then you've got it 9. Let's go ahead, Judge. Let's take you, and then we're going to go to Representative Treadaway.
Always go before.
Me too.
You know, it's almost makes you nervous to get kind words, Mr. Chairman, but I'm going to take them because I'm used to getting harsh ones. So the kind ones I will accept. All right. Last year, y'all, we passed a bill that allowed for the recall of retired judges. Somehow between apparently the confusing language that I put in the bill and the Administrative Office of Courts, we were not able to make that mesh. So I have done my very best to simplify this to say this, that a retired judge can be called to service, can be called to active duty service, once the presiding circuit judge of that circuit and the Chief Justice agree to appoint that individual as an interim judge. It provides that the discretionary funds that are utilized by the circuit judges don't have a discretionary fund. That fund can be utilized to help make up that difference. Other than that, it's the same thing. It's 50 days a year. It's a total of about $39,000, and they're required to have 6 hours of continuing legal education. It's the same bill that last year, except it just simplifies the methodology in which we put somebody back to work where we need them back to work.
Mr. Chairman, I move for favorable report.
You got a motion favorable, and
You can say.
either way, it sounds like there's multiple seconds. I will say this, Judge, there's been some discussion about maybe at some point having limit that to individuals, retired judges who have only been out of the judgeship position for maybe within 5 years. We're not going.
That's harsh.
Harsh. Well, you know. I didn't say that. I didn't say that now.
Yes, sir.
Judge, you'll remember I moved your bill.
Yes, ma'am, and I know, Ms. Smith, I appreciate it. Ms. Figures, I appreciate it.
All right, we got a first and a second on the bill. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, any opposition using previous roll? Hearing none, bill's given favor report. Thank you, Judge. I'll talk to you about that later on.
Thank you all.
Representative Treadaway, HB 81 at the call of Senator Smitherman. So if you will kind of give us an idea what the
Chairman,
bill
members of
does.
the committee, good morning. What this bill is real simple. Under current law, if you're convicted of molesting, sodomizing a child in the first and second degree, you cannot get early parole. This bill simply says you cannot get a pardon. The young man, I think each one of you have a letter from the young man who grew up with my son, their Sunday school teacher who was taking him across state lines and violating this young man, groomed him since he was 5 years old, started sodomizing, molesting him for several years after, at 10 years old on. Got a 10-year sentence. Once it completed, he had to bring this man who's now a naval officer and his family to the pardon hearing, and he can do that every 2 years. I wrote a letter in opposition, and I noticed where the governor wrote a letter in opposition. I seen at the bottom of her letter that if he was given a pardon, that not to allow him to come off the sex register. Talking to LSA, I found out that if you get a pardon, a pedophile can come off a sex register. This man never
Move for favorable report.
Motion in multiple seconds. Any further discussion on the bill?
No, sir.
Any opposition using previous roll? Hearing none, bill's given favor report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your service.
Good job.
All right, let's get back on. I don't know of anyone else that has any other pressing details, so let's get back on the regular agenda. Senator Singleton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make this very brief. Generally, in Alabama, on a service contract and agreement They're to perform a repair, replacement, or maintenance of property for the operational structure failure of the property due to defects or normal wear and tear. This bill will amend Section 832.5, which required that service contracts sold or offered for the sales in this state satisfy some requirements. I'm going to ask today, Mr. Chairman, that we carry this bill over because ALI have informed me this bill was initiated by Representative McCampbell in the House, and Representative McCampbell informed me on last night that he had been working with ALI, and they are about to reform this entire section. So there's no need for us to amend it at this point, and they will address all of our needs when they amend the entire section over the summer.
Good, I understand. And number one, I appreciate you bringing this issue up. I know that there are many folks out there who have either, had some issues or problems when it comes to the definitions of what's covered, what's not, what's the maximum, sometimes especially in a retail setting, whenever you buy, a phone or whatever else, you think you're getting a warranty when you're really not getting anything that's covered. So thank you for bringing this up, and appreciate the hard work that you and Representative McCampbell. Yes, sir.
Senator, I would also, I don't know how it would fit in this bill, but as y'all look at it, a lot of times I just take, for instance, you buy a TV. The TV already has a year's warranty on it. And then they'll say, we're going to sell you a 2-year plan. And then that 1 year, the 2-year plan roll into the year that you were already covered. So will y'all address that? I don't know what the answer, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
And it also started with the home warranty side of it. When people are doing these home warranties and appliances, they're bad about what they're doing in terms of not honoring those warranties. And so we think that we can cover all of that in this piece as they address it. So ALI said they understand exactly what we're looking for, and we would definitely hope to bring back a good revision of that section of the law.
Appreciate y'all bringing that issue to light. Thank you. That bill is carried over then at the request of the sponsor. HB 78, Representative Insler.
Good morning, committee, and thank you, Mr. Chair. This bill creates the crime of swatting. You may have heard the term in the news in more recent months. Swatting is when someone calls in a bomb threat or a mass shooter, active shooter situation. Law enforcement show up with often a SWAT team or a bomb squad, but it is a false report. But the idea is that it activates all this fear and trauma and has law enforcement come out. It's a tremendous waste of resources, but also inflicts a lot of scare and emotional trauma. This has happened all throughout the state now. It happens at schools, at public shopping places, and it's happened multiple times at my own synagogue here in Montgomery, where we've had to evacuate during services multiple times. So I bring this both from personal experience, but of course, just hearing throughout the state how much it is happening. I know one question that I'll just preemptively address is how is this different from the Carly Russell a false reporting bill? There is overlap between the two, but this is more tailored towards bomb threats or active shooter threats.
Senator Smith.
Well, this is the question. First of all, I agree with what you're doing, so get that part out the way from everybody. But what's going to happen when a person legitimately thinks it's a bomb? I mean, like airports, here's a suitcase. I just say airports. We're not talking about airports. But here's a suitcase. And, and that person really thinks it is and calls. What's going to happen then? Because that's just they've heard me, my colleagues have heard me say this, and I'm just going to say it just like this. If you calling in, you may get a little benefit of the doubt. Sure. I ain't gonna get nothing but charged for this right here. If I call it in. So I mean, I'm just saying the realities of life, what you hear me talking about now. So how either we gonna deter people from calling in with it, and it might be one maybe 1 out of 20, but that one, you know what damage it'll do. And yet you're right, what you just said is happening to you. And because I deal with the all our Jewish facilities that are in my district, so I dealt with the same thing you have, the concerns and whatnot. So I'm with you, but I mean, I need for you, before we deal with this in the Senate, to come up with how we're gonna address, the situation so that a person won't be deterred if it's a legitimate situation, under the field that if it's not, I'm going to jail.
No, and I appreciate and certainly understand that point. We do have the term knowingly in there, and so someone will have to know that they're making a false report. So if you sincerely think that you see or hear something, that is a threat and you call it in, you can't be charged under this. You have to know that you're calling in something that's not actually happening. So that level of knowingly or intentionality has to be there.
Now, you're right about the standard of the law, but knowingly means just whether you believe me. And go back to what I just said. You should understand what I'm saying. No, I can just tell you, it's you being head of the synagogue and me being sitting over here saying this, and they come up, they don't believe you. They ain't gonna believe me. And so it's something that's got to be done to deal with that. So don't rest on the morals of where it is. I would like for you to really explore that. Go down to legislative reference. I ain't telling you where to go, but I'm just saying to see if they can pull up something that will address what we're saying. Okay.
Absolutely. No, I'm happy to work with LSA on an amendment if there's a way to address that.
But I want you to do it now. Don't
yes, sir.
I can do it.
Oh, no, I said I will.
Nah, I ain't got time to do it. So I'm just asking you to do it.
Hey, it's my bill, so I'm happy to do it.
Okay, all right.
Senator Figures.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Ensler, I wanted, when you were telling us about the bill, I automatically assumed it would be those anonymous calls that you get from people. And so my question was going to be, how do you have those people been caught? Like the people that called in the threats to your synagogue, was that person found?
So there's still an ongoing investigation, so they haven't found the person yet.
Okay, and I guess that's my question, how they find them, but when they find them, then, because I would think that a person who knowingly calls and actually believes there is a threat, that you would know who that person is. And they would say that it was them because they believed it. And so, yes, they knowingly did it. So, I mean, I could see them being covered. But the way I take your bill is for those people who are calling with these anonymous things saying it's a bomb at the school, but they are not identifying themselves to say who's making the call.
Sure. So if the way the bill is written, if someone causes there to be a law enforcement response, so I'll just give an example. If someone post something on social media that says there's an active shooter at such and such Walmart, and their intention is to create this chaos and have law enforcement show up, even if it's some made up alias and profile on Facebook, police then can investigate, law enforcement can investigate and try to track down that person. Another example may be, and this was, with my own synagogue, that someone sent in an email saying that there are bombs, underneath the synagogue, that they're going to go off. So we then got the email and called 911. So in that situation, as reporting it, you wouldn't be charged, but the investigation would try to find who caused the call to be put in. So the idea is really to get people that aren't actually, there's this gap where people aren't actually, unfortunately, not leaving bombs, or they're not going and shooting up a place, but they pretend that they're going to, or that they say that it's happening. So the idea is not to go after the people that are doing the right thing of calling it in, but the people that are trying to create this kind of chaotic atmosphere.
That's the way I took it. So it just needs to be specific to that, so that it's nothing left for interpretation, or many interpretations, if you will. Thank you.
No, thank you
for bringing it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Baker. Senator Gavin.
Well, I mean, I think another example could be, after what happened in the last month or so, we walk up to the State House and we see a backpack, and
sitting right, you know, at the entrance or something like that, what's in it? You know, now I'm not going to go, you know, oh my gosh, you know, call the bomb squad in. I'm going to kind of assume Senator Smitherman left his backpack there and, you know, and just forgot it. And I'm probably going to walk on by, but I'm going to let security know and let security deal with that. But I mean, there could be a, you know, situation where you see something that's out of place that looks funny. But I will, if Senator Smitherman won't work on a solution, I'll work with you on a solution with LSA. So and help you with an amendment on that if we need it. So just get with me about that.
Great, yeah, and I'll just briefly say, right, what we don't want is to have the unintended consequence of people then being afraid of reporting. So certainly can tweak the language to do that.
Senator Bell?
We just had this exact thing happen in my district, so I'll move for favorable.
Second.
A motion for favorable and a second. Any further discussion on the bill? Hearing none. Any opposition using previous rule? Would you like to be added as a yes on that? I know Senator Smitherman had indicated he wanted to vote yes, so we'll keep him on the roll. No opposition to using previous rule. Bill's given favorable report. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. I don't see Representative Gavan here. Let's skip over that. We'll come back. HB 82, Representative Shaw. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senators. I think we're going to be talking about a lot of the same things. This is House Bill 82, which is the false 911, false reporting, Carly Russell bill. This is a companion bill to what was passed by this committee by Senator Weaver a couple weeks ago, a few weeks ago. There's passed the full House, and there's one amendment. It had to do with removing the section about the day for day option in there, but that's the only change. So happy to answer any questions.
Let me ask you this just to make sure, and Senator Weaver, you might be able to help to address this too. The bill that we passed, your bill, is identical. We substituted, I believe, to be identical to what the House bill was, is my recollection. Yeah. And so, and I believe the House passed this 101 or 102.
Unanimous, Mr.
It was
Chair.
unanimous, whatever that. Okay. All right. Yep. I got you. And just really quick, that amendment is again?
Right. It was the section that said day for day. You shall serve a day for day for, basically took a lot of the flexibility. Judge Hill made the amendment. It was he believed it took some of the flexibility in sentencing and negotiating out of the process. So,
okay. All right. Sounds like a good amendment. Always leave it to Judge Hill to come up with some good amendments. Any discussion on the bill? Got a motion for favorable. Senator Van, second. Senator Weaver. Any discussion on the bill? All right. Hearing none. Any opposition to using previous rule? Senator Singleton would like to be a no on it. Any other opposition? All right. Hearing none. Bill's given a favorable report. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Senators.
HB 164, Representative Robbins.
Thanks, Chairman and Committee. I have Bill HB 164. What this bill is doing is basically it's modernizing what's already happening in the physical real world to the virtual world. And by that, I mean it's requiring certain steps. If you are a commercial entity that distributes adult material, you're going to have to start doing several things. One is you're going to have to verify the age of the individuals that are accessing and entering onto your website. You're going to have to verify the age of all the performers that are on your website to verify that they are of age. You're going to have written notarized consent of all performers that they agreed, one, to the sexual act and it being uploaded onto a website. And four, you're going to have to start placing a warning label that adult material can be harmful to your psychological development, and if you have a problem, there's a 1-800 number to call. If you will not be allowed to maintain the data of those that access your website, and there's two ways to do that. You either use a government-issued ID or a commercially reasonable method, which is there are companies out there that create fake, or we'll say alias identities that verify you are of age and that you are an adult to access the website. But you must maintain the information of the notarized contract from the performers and the data or the information that all your performers are of age for a minimum of 5 years. If you violate any one of those 4 sections, the parent guardian will have a cause of action against you. If your data is stored, the individual whose data was stored from accessing the website will have a cause of action. And this will be considered a violation of the Deceptive Trade Practices Act, which means that the injured party will have actual punitive damages, court costs, and attorney's fees. And we amend the existing law concerning the distributing an image of an individual to include that now it is a crime to distribute an image of an individual with the expected privacy without the written consent of that individual. So we make it a little bit more difficult and that you have to get consent before you share the image, a nude image of an individual. And we also include in the bill a tax on the gross receipts of all commercial entities of 10% that they make in the state of Alabama. So, and I have an amendment that the circuit clerks reached out to me about now.
Let's do the Senator Figures. I think you had some questions.
I just have a question about the images that are put out there. Does that also include someone like maybe putting your head or face or whatever on a nude body of somebody else? Well, although that may not be your body, it's still your image and
Well, there's some separate legislation dealing with that is moving through that about AI and.
Okay, Senator Weaver just told me she has that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Senator Bell's got an amendment that should be in your package. Senator Bell, would you explain the amendment?
Basically, we're adding the word circuit on line 119, page 5 of the bill. And then on line 124, putting where the plaintiff shall mail the copy. We're changing that out. Instead of the clerk of the court mailing the copy, the plaintiff shall mail the copy.
Okay, and can you read that? Not read it to me, but what does that look like in that section?
It just clarifies what court. It's not. It just said court, so we're just inserting the word circuit court so we know what court it goes to.
Okay. And it puts the burden not on that clerk, it puts it on the potential plaintiff to make sure that service is there. Okay. All right. Any discussion on the amendment offered by Senator Bell? Any opposition using previous rule on the amendment? Hearing none, the amendment's adopted. Back on the bill itself, Senator Carnley. Got a motion for favorable, Senator Carnley, second by Senator Gavan. Senator Singleton wanted to be left on the roll as a yes on this. Any opposition using previous rule? Hearing none, bill is given a favorable report. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next up, we're going to come back. I think the last one we have on here is HB 79. Representative Gavan's not here, but Senator Figures has agreed to walk us through this bill.
Yeah, well, I didn't say walk. I may run you through it. I would hate for a bill like this not to get favorable report. The bill expands current Alabama law pertaining to human trafficking, and the significance section analysis is section 13A61538.3. It's added to include within the crime of human trafficking in the second degree where a person knowingly advertises either online or in print access to the sexual or labor servitude of another. So I think that explains it in a nutshell, and I'll move for favorable report.
Second by Senator Weaver, first by Senator Figures on that. And I want to take just a second and say thank you to Mike Harper. He does an excellent job. If you notice in here, every one of these bills, every time has a lawyer's eye on it as to what it does, possible concerns that we should think about, and it does an excellent job of reviewing these for us and gives us a heads up, just another set of eyes on there. So thank you, Mike. Got a first and a second. Any opposition using previous roll? Hearing none, bill's given a favorable report. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that's the end of the agenda today, and here we are in 31 minutes, I think. So thank y'all for being here. Y'all have a great week off next week, and we'll see you, I guess, the following potentially.